Welcome to the December degree apprenticeship update. So in this video, I'm going to be going through all the degree apprenticeship vacancies which are going to be closing in December, so you know which companies you need to apply to and you don't miss out on the opportunities that you want. Now, first link in the description, I'm going to put a link to the document which I'm going to be going through, which summarizes everything I'm saying. However, I would definitely recommend that you watch the end of this video because I'm going to be including extra bonus tips in this video which will not be in the document. So definitely recommend watching this full video. There's a lot more companies now in December than there were in November, because as we move into December, January and February, this is where the bulk of companies start opening their applications. So there's more companies that you need to make sure you're applying to. Try and do it early in December, because if you leave it to the end of December, then it's going to be your Christmas holiday, which you're having to sit down and do all your applications. So if you see one in this video which you're interested in, even if it has a late date such as the 31st of December, you might as well get it done with now rather than waiting until the Christmas holidays, where you're going to have to be spending the time where you should be doing nothing. You're going to have to spend that time writing CVs, writing cover letters, writing application questions. And another thing is, in this video there is quite a few DTS roles, digital technology solutions. So if that's something you're interested in, definitely stick through this video. And also, just a bit of notice, I'm going to be releasing a DTS full guide in the next few weeks. So if you're interested in applying to DTS, that will give you all sorts of tips on courses and work experience for DTS, and also the kind of things you can put in your cover letter for a DTS apprenticeship. So stay tuned for that one. And without further ado, let's get into the degree apprenticeships that are closing this December. So the first company I'm going to go through is the BBC, and now they usually have a couple of batches of apprenticeships. Their first batch closed on the 20th of November. But don't worry, there still is a batch for you to apply to if you missed that deadline. And this is a DTS batch. And this is going to be closing on the 4th of December. And the roles are data analyst, data scientist and cyber security in the locations Belfast, Birmingham and Salford. I personally applied for the BBC and I actually got through the application process. I got through the online testing and I was invited to the assessment centre, and in the end I had to decline the assessment centre and pull out because I had something else going the other day, and it wasn't really one of the top ones I wanted. I just applied. But that means I know about the application process and the sort of things that will help you get through to the BBC online testing and assessment centre. So if you're really interested in the BBC and you just want to find out some more from me, just drop me an email and we'll be able to sort something out, and I'll be able to help you with the BBC application process. So the next company is Defence Equipment and Support, and they're actually part of the Ministry of Defence, an engineering company providing military equipment. So this is a very good engineering opportunity. So first of all, the apprenticeships they're offering in engineering is aerospace and electromechanical. And the location for this is Bristol. And I just want to say something about Bristol and aerospace. So you'll find that a lot of the aerospace companies are based in the southwest in the UK. That's just sort of a general thing. If you are really interested in aerospace, I definitely recommend that you need to consider the southwest, because a lot of companies are based in Bristol. I've got another one later which is Cheltenham, Gloucester. Airbus, which is going to be later in the year, they have a lot in Bristol sort of area. So that's just something to bear in mind. If you are interested in aerospace, it's in the southwest direction of the UK mainly. And also I have some application tips that you can use specifically for aerospace, but I'm going to talk about those later in the video. Finally, there is a DTS apprenticeship and also a chartered management apprenticeship. Deadlines for this is the 11th of December. Now, in the last update we did have quite a lot of military companies, so moving on from the MOD one, we have another military company, and that is MBDA, and they specialise in missiles. They're having a couple of apprenticeships. Again, this is an engineering company, so the main ones are mechanical engineering and electrical engineering. However, they also have DTS, which you'll find a lot of companies have DTS. So if you're interested in DTS, then there's a broad range of companies. It doesn't have to just be an IT consultancy services company like Tata, for example. It can be any range of companies. So an engineering company, a finance company, lots and lots of companies have DTS apprenticeships. And the final one is business leadership and management. The locations for this are Bolton, Bristol and Stevenage. Again, Bristol, big hub in the southwest, but there you go, Bolton, Bristol and Stevenage. And the deadline for this one is the 28th of December. Now the next one is BT Group, and this is another big one for DTS. So you have the normal DTS roles, and also on top of that you have cybersecurity and data analyst. And on top of that, there's a chartered management degree apprenticeship, which they're doing as well. And quite a few locations for this around the country. So Birmingham, Bristol, Ipswich, London and Manchester. And the deadlines for this one are 31st December. And now actually the ones for the rest of the video are all 31st December. So I definitely recommend, let's just get it in between the 10th and 20th, just get it done before Christmas so you don't have to worry about it between Christmas and New Year. And now a bit of advice for applying for this one is making sure you understand what the BT group is. So the BT group is made of 4 brands: BT, EE, PlusNet and OpenReach. So if you can include that in your application, it shows that you've properly researched the BT group. Because some people, they'll just see BT and think it's just BT, right? But if you've done your proper research, you'll know that it's BT, EE, PlusNet and OpenReach. They're all the brands within the BT group. So if you can show that you've done that research, then that's going to put you in a higher stead. And that's an important thing, being able to actually properly research the company and what it is. Because this is a common mistake that I'll give you right now that happens with Rolls-Royce. When people apply to Rolls-Royce, they think it is Rolls-Royce the cars. Incorrect. Rolls-Royce is an engine manufacturer. So they do engines for planes and ships and that sort of thing, right? That's what Rolls-Royce is. People apply to Rolls-Royce talking about, oh, I want to make cars and luxury cars and all that. That's not Rolls-Royce. The Rolls-Royce cars thing actually comes under BMW. So similarly, if any of you are interested in BMW, which should be coming in the next few months, probably January or February, then you're not just applying to BMW, you're applying to BMW, Rolls-Royce motor cars and also Mini. They're sort of subgroups of BMW. So if you can explain the different brands and you know what makes up the BMW group, it's going to help you when you are doing your application. So with this one in your BT group, I definitely mentioned somewhere in the application process about your research and how that you know that the company has a diverse range of brands such as BT, EE, PlusNet and OpenReach, and that will really help you. So that's my tip for that one on BT group. Show that research that you know the different sub-brands of the parent company, which is BT Group. Now the next one is CGI, and this is your bog standard IT consultancy services. So it's a DTS apprenticeship, that's the one they're doing. They have a bunch of locations, so let me just read them out for you. Bristol, Chippenham, Gloucester, Leeds, Liverpool, London, Manchester, Newcastle and Reading. So that's going to be a good one for DTS if you're interested in that. So now we come to another engineering company, and this is the other aerospace company that I was talking about that I'd give some extra tips on. So this is GE Aerospace, which is actually a subgroup of General Electric, which you might have heard of. And they're basically the engine manufacturer of some very popular engines. So Boeing 777X, that's the General Electric engine. To be honest, whenever you go on your holiday and go on a plane, chances are it's probably going to be a General Electric engine because they're so worldwide and so big. So this is a big aerospace opportunity. So they have an engineering degree apprenticeship where your degree is going to be in mechanical engineering, and on top of that they also have a supply chain degree apprenticeship. The locations for these, again, as I said earlier, a lot of aerospace is in the southwest, so this is Cheltenham and Gloucester. Now here's where I can give you some advice now for applying to aerospace companies, because actually I've done lots of research on aviation and aerospace and aeronautical engineering. I'm actually going to be dropping a full guide to applying to aerospace engineering degree apprenticeships as well, so watch out for that. However, I'll just give you a sneak preview right now of some things that will help you in case you wanted to apply to an aerospace engineering right now. So the first thing is, you want to talk about the future of the industry. So in your cover letter or in your application, you might have here's a common thing, they have an application question, talk about the future of the industry or what you would do to innovate, or some sort of future-based question. That's where the 3 key things to talk about are SAFs, so sustainable aviation fuels, electric engines and hydrogen engines for airplanes. Those are 3 big things you want to cover. So that can either be in sort of the research paragraph of your cover letter, or it could be somewhere in the application questions. Those are 3 big topics at the moment in the aviation space that will show that you actually understand the industry. And again, this could be relevant to your presentation. So put some of that in your application. Then you do your online testing, then it's assessment centre, and potentially in the assessment centre they have something called a presentation task where they ask you to prepare a presentation and give it. And the presentation might be on something like, give us an example of a new technology. That's one I've had before. Or it could be one such as, give us a way General Electric or whatever the company is could innovate. And that's where I think it would be a good idea to do a presentation on sustainable aviation fuels, electric engines and hydrogen engines. So that's just a preview there of something you can help. Check out when that comes out in the next few weeks, my aerospace engineering full guide, where on top of that research tips, I'm going to include work experience and MOOC online course opportunities that will really help you. So wait for that one, and now let's move on to the next apprenticeship. So next on to do with construction. So if you're interested in civil engineering and construction, that kind of thing, this one's for you. And this is Mott MacDonald. So Mott MacDonald are a consultancy, and let me just quickly break down something for you. This will be useful if you're interested in construction and a role like that. So in construction, you basically have 3 different types of companies. You have a consultancy, a contractor, and a local authority. So a consultancy is where a client will come to the consultancy and ask, we need this solution, can you sort it out for us? So they might say, we have this river, we need to build a bridge over it, can you design it for us and plan how we're going to do it? So that's a consultancy. You could sort of call it the designer, that it sort of roughly aligns. And so the client will go to the consultancy and ask, can you produce a design or whatever for this? Then you have contractor, and the contractor they're the ones who carry out the construction. So you'll have the consultancy carrying out the design, and then it's the contractor who are going to build it. So if you're part of a contracting company, then that's going to be a lot of project management and making sure that the scheme of works is right, making sure that it's being built correctly, that you're meeting costs and deadlines and all that. And that would be a lot of on-site work for a contractor. And then the third one is a local authority. And local authorities can do multiple different roles. They can, when I mentioned about the consultancy, a client comes to them, a lot of the time the local authority is the client. So it might be the local authority knows they need a bridge being built over this river, so they go to a consultancy to get that design done. And then where they get involved is, once the contractor gets employed to do the job, the local authority will often be supervising the contractor to make sure that they're doing the right thing. So that's one role of a local authority, is supervising the contractor. And also in some cases, a local authority can be the designer as well. So I'll just recap that one more time. A consultancy is where someone the client goes to basically get a design. A contractor is someone they get given the design and they have to fulfill it and build it. And then a local authority has to oversee that the contractor is doing it correctly in their area, or sometimes they can do the design as well. So that's a good overview if you're interested in civil engineering. You're noticing a theme here. In the next few weeks, I'm going to be bringing out a full guide to civil engineering and how to get a construction-based apprenticeship. So Mott MacDonald is a consultancy, so that means they are doing the designs. That is something to bear in mind, and you can use that in your research when you're applying to the company, saying you know that it's a consulting company. And if they ask, what sort of job do you think you're doing, then you can talk about what a consultancy does, because I've just explained it to you. So they have quite a couple of apprenticeships, and starting off with the engineering, they have civil engineering, and then they also have electromechanical engineering. And then moving on from that, they have building services and quantity surveying, which are 2 ones that are quite common with construction jobs. If you don't know what building services is, that's things like ventilation, fire, water, heating, air conditioning, those sort of services which are needed for a building to operate, so the installation and maintenance of those sort of things. And finally, there is project management and transport planning degree apprenticeship. Now, Mott MacDonald is all over the country, so let me just go through the list of locations that they have. Birmingham, Brighton, Bristol, Cambridge, Croydon, Exeter, Leeds, London, Manchester, Norwich, Reading, Sheffield and Southampton. So all over the country for you there. That is Mott MacDonald, a consultancy, closing on the 31st of December. Now the next one is Unilever, and you've definitely heard of them, and if you haven't heard of them, you have used their products. Because if you search online, you can find this sort of picture where it explains that basically everything we buy is controlled by a couple of brands, like it's controlled by Kellogg's or Nestle, that sort of thing. And basically Unilever is one of these ones that just controls everything. They make so many products, so even if you've never actually heard of them, you'll definitely have used the products that they do. So they do ice creams, Cornetto, Magnum, Ben & Jerry's, they make those. They make all sorts of health products, so Dove, Persil, Domestos. They make Vaseline. They actually do PG Tips, you know, the tea company, their Unilever's behind them. And then Radox, you might have seen that, they're the hand sanitizer brand. So Unilever controls everything. So again, that's another tip for you there. In the application process, when it comes to Unilever, you can use that research in your cover letter or your application questions, saying you know that Unilever has a diverse range of products, from food and ice cream to health products such as the Radox hand sanitizer, and that shows that you understand that Unilever, it shows that you've properly researched Unilever as a company and you know exactly what products they do. Okay, so that's just a tip for you there. Now let's go over what the apprenticeships are. So as they manufacture these products, they have a manufacturing apprenticeship, and also on top of that, they have a chemical engineering one. Chemical engineering is actually quite a rare degree apprenticeship. You don't see it much, so this is definitely a good opportunity to get that chemical engineering degree apprenticeship. It's a rare one, and to be honest, most of the time to do chemical engineering, you'll have to go to university for that. So now that you can see chemical engineering as an apprenticeship here, I definitely recommend targeting this one because there's not many of them, let's just say that. Now, there's also a role of laboratory scientist, which is, again, you don't see that one too often. Apprenticeships, a big field is engineering, but engineering is just the application of science. And if you're actually interested in just science, not necessarily the application of it, then there's not many science degree apprenticeships. Like if you want to study science, you have to go to university. So seeing something like this, a laboratory scientist, is again another rare thing. So definitely, if you're interested in science, I definitely recommend targeting Unilever. And just another heads up, if you're interested in a laboratory scientist role, AstraZeneca is another good one to search up because they have a laboratory scientist role as well. And finally, we have 3 more roles, so DTS, data scientist, and chartered management. The locations for these are Bedford, Leeds, Liverpool, and London. Now, the final one is Visa, and this is a finance company. It's actually the only finance company really in December, and that is because by now most of the finance companies have closed. So if you're watching this video and you were hoping to apply to a bunch of finance companies, unfortunately it's too late. You've missed the boat for this year because a lot of them closed in October, November. They're very early ones. So this is probably the last finance one you can go for if you are really interested in the finance industry. Otherwise, you're gonna have to find another option or wait until next year. And there's just one apprenticeship for this one in one location, and this is a chartered management apprenticeship for Visa in London. And again, deadline of 31st of December. And there we go, that is the last degree apprenticeship, which is going to be closing in December. I've slightly changed the format of this video since the November one by including all these extra tips, what you can research, explaining the structures of a consultancy and contractor and all that. So I just hope this video has given you extra value, which will help you when you come to apply to these degree apprenticeships. If you have received value from this video, I'd really appreciate if you leave a like, just so I know that these help and I know that you want me to continue with these in January and February. Stay tuned for when I bring out those full guides on DTS, civil engineering, aerospace engineering, and more. I'm going to be doing mechanical engineering, etc. Stay tuned for those because those are going to be giving you full guides on work experience, on courses, on how you can write a cover letter, on how to answer application questions, how to prepare presentations for those niches. So stay tuned for those and subscribe to the channel, and then you'll be notified when these videos come out. Once again, first link in the description, it'll get you to the document, and I've put all the hyperlinks there so you can click straight. You don't have to waste time Googling, just click straight on those links to the apprenticeships you want. Hope this video has helped. Thanks very much.